There's a lot to digest and a lot of voices to be heard. Stick to the frequency that amplifies those voices, stories, and reports that make the difference. This is Agidigbo News, 88.7 FM, the people's voice.
This is Kunle Amzat Studio, Agidigbo 88.7 FM. Welcome to News Around the World.
Good evening, welcome to News Around the World on the most listened to radio station at Gidigbo 88.7 FM Ibadan. I am Wuraula Yusuf. The headlines. NDPC boss explains why most cyber attacks on MDAs are successful. Protests erupt across Ibadan today over abduction of school children. Teachers. 5 recovered from Ebola as Brazil investigates 2 suspected cases. Iran says ceasefire likely to end if Israeli attacks on Lebanon persists. Serena Williams confirms a tennis comeback with the Queen's doubles wildcard. And now the details. The federal government, through the Nigeria Data Protection Commission, NDPC, has attributed about 94.7% of data breaches and attacks to the lack of skilled personnel, especially in Nigeria. The National Commissioner of the NDPC, Dr. Vincent Olatunji, stated yesterday at the flag-off of the technical and organizational drill on data protection measures for its administrators across MDAs are going on in Abuja. Dr. Olatunji said that the breaches of data and cyber attacks can lead to financial loss and reputational damage, adding that individuals who attack networks do it for several reasons, including embarrassing the government, financial gains, and just for the fun of it. The Police Service Commission (PSC) has debunked a police recruitment list circulating on social media, describing it as fake and urging members of the public to disregard it. The head of protocol and public affairs of the PSC, Abuja, Mr. Thornton Njoku Kalu, in a statement today, said the Commission's attention has been drawn to a fake list currently circulating on social media, purporting to be a short list of candidates scheduled for medical examination, while noting that no such short list has been released. Mr. Kalu said the evaluation of the written examination is still at its concluding stage, and that invitations for medical examinations will be communicated to successful applicants in the coming days, while reiterating the Commission's commitment to a merit-based recruitment process. The statement further advised the applicants and members of the public to be wary of fraudsters and fake news, as all official communications will be disseminated solely through the Commission's verified channels. Hundreds of Nigerian youth staged a peaceful protest today in Ibadan, Oyo State, demanding urgent action from the government over the abduction of school children and teachers by suspected bandits. The protesters expressed frustration over what they described as a slow response to the incident, warning that prolonged captivity continues to inflict emotional pain on the victims and their families. The youths have vowed to sustain peaceful demonstrations until the children and teachers regain their freedom, stressing that their camp campaign is focused on justice, security, and the protection of every child's right to education. Agidigbo FM News correspondent Abiodun Loyede was at the protest scene. Here is a report.
Oh yeah, Kabinu! Oh yeah, Kabinu! Oh yeah, Kabinu! Hundreds of Nigerian youth staged a peaceful protest in Ibadan today, marching from Makola to the Oyo State Secretariat Agodi to demand urgent action over the abduction of school children and teachers by suspected bandits. The protesters carried placards and chanted solidarity songs, calling on both the Oyo State government and the federal government to take steps for the safe return of the victims. Speaking with Agidigbo FM, an elderly woman who dressed like a primary school student, Mrs. Ayodeni Aluko, got emotional when explaining her opinion on the issue.
I'm using community to beg our president to come to our head. Ambassador, please come to our head in the Oyo State. We are begging you. We parents in Oyo State. We are begging our Ambassador now. Please and please. Over 2 weeks now. Our children captive. Please, we are begging you now in the name of God.
The protesters also criticized what they described as a slow response to the incident, stressing that every day spent in captivity increases the suffering of the victims and their families. In another interview with Agidigbo FM, a young Nigerian gave his own perspective on the ongoing matter.
Please, the government, we need our children back. Without our children, there is no election in Oyo State. We need our children back. Those children are suffering.
And they are money why? The money that we budgeted for the helicopter and the security that you mentioned, where is that? We need to account for that. We are not going to take that from them.
It is not just enough for you to call for strike. Teachers must come out and protest.
They vowed to continue peaceful demonstrations until the children and teachers are rescued, emphasizing that their movement is aimed at ensuring justice, security, and the protection of every child's right to education. A truck driver who stopped after witnessing the protest shared a story about the situation. The youths urged security agencies to intensify rescue efforts and ensure that those responsible for the attack are brought to justice. According to the protesters, the safety of children and teachers must remain a national priority. Abiodun Oloyede, Agidigbo FM News.
Protests erupted in various parts of Ibadan metropolis over the abduction of the school children and teachers, as the Nigerian Union of Teachers have directed its members to stay at home until the kidnapped teachers and students return to the warmth and love of their family and friends. The demonstrations have followed the decision of the Oyo State chapter of Nigerian Union of Teachers (NUT) to embark on an indefinite strike and withdraw services in response to the recent kidnappings in Ahore, Shele, and the Awota communities of Orire local government. The protesters are called on both the federal government and the Oyo State government to intensify efforts towards securing the release of the victims who have remained in captivity for about 18 days. Agidigbo FM's news correspondent Oluwakomi Bamidele reports on the protests and the activities the government at all levels has put in place to ensure the release of the 45 hostages.
Mere words are not enough to pacify family, friends, and relatives of victims abducted on the 15th of May 2026 in the Yawata community and its environs in the Orire local government area of Oyo State, even as they remain in captivity with their fate uncertain. Many hearts are broken, dreams left unfulfilled as young Nigerians and bright students remain trapped in forest, with government appearing to be helpless with the situation. Even the visit by the governor of Oyo State, Engineer Oluseyi Abiodun Makinde, weeks after the sad incident, could not pacify this woman who says she has 4 grandchildren and a sister-in-law in the den of their abductors.
It has been a long and tiring period for my family. I have 4 grandchildren and 1 sister-in-law in the kidnappers' den. Mr. Governor, please help us.
The heartbroken spouse of the Vice Principal of the Community Grammar School, Esinle, Professor Wale Halamu, called on government at all levels to intensify efforts in ensuring the safe return of his wife and other kidnapped victims.
Ìyàwó mi ni wọ́n ń lò láti fi ṣe fídíò tí wọ́n ń pín káàkiri. It's very disheartening and depressing.
At the city center, tempers have reached the boiling point as Nigerians have taken to the streets in protest and are furious to how government is handling the matter. One of the emotional moments came when a woman narrated her own experience as a kidnapping survivor. She recounted how she was abducted along the Benin-Ore road and held captive by the kidnappers who demanded ransom from her family. As the clock continues to tick and the future looks uncertain, government at all levels must understand that this is not just an Oyo story, but a national test of our commitment to every child's right to learn without fear. Well-meaning Nigerians conclude that government must move past strategy because outrage without actions leave our children vulnerable. Oluwapemi Bamidele, Agidigbo FM News.
Now it is time to link up with our United Kingdom studio for the foreign news.
News from Kone Amza Studio, Agidigbo FM, United Kingdom. I am Zikrot Fasasi. Scores of people have been killed following a blast at a building in northeastern Myanmar. The area, located about 2 miles south of the Chinese border, is controlled by the Tahang National Liberation Army (TNLA), an ethnic armed group which has been fighting the country's government. Is believed to have been storing mining explosives where the incident happened yesterday around midday local time. Although 74 injured people had been taken to the township hospital and rescue operation continue as the bodies of the 46 people, including 6 children, were recovered by evening and taken to be cremated. Relations between the TNLA and Myanmar's military remain tense despite the sides agreeing on a ceasefire following China-mediated talks last October. TNLA has thereby affirmed that an investigation into the cause of the explosion was underway. The head of World Health Organization said 5 people have recovered from a rare type of Ebola virus as suspected cases were investigated in Brazil and Italy. On Friday, the WHO said that patients had recovered from the Bundibugyo virus, the current strain of Ebola virus, which has no approved treatment or vaccine. It was the first documented recovery during the current outbreak. The Director General of the African Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said as of Saturday that 263 confirmed Ebola cases had been reported in the DRC and Uganda as the virus continued to spread faster than the response despite better organized health facilities and new aid arrivals, which has called for immediate expansion of testing, faster deployment of aid workers, and sustained access for medical supplies. However, WHO Director General Dr. Tedros have highlighted the importance of involving the community in the outbreak responses, that Ebola can be stopped and anyone who has it can also be recovered, as it is a collective responsibility and the participation of all citizens is essential. And that is the news from Kenlai Amzat Studio, Agidigbo FM, United Kingdom. I am Zikrot Fasasi.
You're welcome back. We shall also be moving to our Maryland studio, United States, for more foreign news.
News from Kule Amzat Studio, Agidigbo FM, United States. I am Oluwatosin Sonya. Iran said it had attacked the U.S. air base following weekend U.S. strikes on Iranian military targets, and Kuwait said on Monday it had come under fire despite a fragile ceasefire and diplomatic efforts to end 3 months of war. Oil prices rose more than 3% after the latest strike, with tensions also fueled by Israel ordering troops to move further into Lebanon against Iran-backed Hezbollah in a conflict that was reignited by the U.S.-Israeli war against Iran. The U.S. President Donald Trump reiterated that he believed Tehran wants to reach a deal, but hopes of a breakthrough were tempered by comment by Iranian officials criticizing the constantly changing U.S. negotiating stance and condemning Israeli attacks in Lebanon, where a ceasefire is also in place. A second batch of documents related to the appointment of Lord Mandelson as the United Kingdom's ambassador to the United States is scheduled for release Monday. Government sources acknowledge that the files contain text messages exchanges between ministers, advisors, and Mandelson that are likely to be viewed as embarrassing and awkward. A spokesman for Prime Minister Keir Starmer said that every government department participated in reviewing thousands of documents ahead of publication, describing the release as an exercise in unprecedented transparency. Starmer appointed Mandelson to the ambassadorial post in December 2024, but dismissed him 9 months later following the emergence of new information regarding his relationship with the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Mandelson is currently the subject of a criminal investigation into allegations of misconduct in public office. He has constantly maintained that he committed no criminal wrongdoing, did not act for personal gain, and is fully cooperating with the police investigation. And that ends the news from Kule Amzat Studio at Gidigbo FM, United States. I am Oluwatosin Sonya.
And now in the exciting world of sports. Serena Williams' comeback to tennis has been confirmed with the 44-year-old playing doubles at the HSBC Championships, which is also known as the Queen's Club Championships, at the Queen's Club, England, next week. Serena's imminent return has been pushed since it was revealed in December last year, when she had re-entered the anti-doping program, which is prerequisite to play on the tour again. The 23 Grand Slam singles champion has been eligible since February this year, but has chosen the British grass court season to step back onto the match court in what will be one of the biggest stories in sport this year. Serena has not played since a glittering farewell at the US Open in 2022, although she pointedly avoided using the word retirement, but instead said she was evolving away from tennis. Williams' comeback is a huge coup for Lawn Tennis Association and tournament director Laura Robson, with women's tennis returning to the historic venue last year for the first time since 1973. To wrap up the news this evening, here is a recap of the headlines. NDPC boss explains why most cyber attacks on FDAs are successful. Protest erupts across Ibadan today over abduction of school children, teachers. 5 recover from Ebola as Brazil investigates 2 suspected cases. Iran says ceasefire likely to end if Israeli attacks on Lebanon persist. Serena Williams confirms a tennis comeback with Queen's doubles wildcard.
Don't forget that you can listen to us live on our website www.agidigbo88.7fm.com. You can also download our mobile app on Google Play Store and iOS. Simply search for Agidigbo 88.7 FM. Follow us on Facebook at Agidigbo 88.7 FM, on Twitter and Instagram at Agidigbo 887 FM, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have news stories and tips for us, contact our newsroom on 070-8714-4865 or send us a mail on newsroom@agidigbo887fm.com.
And before we go this evening, here is a quick tip. Do the best you can until you know better. And when you know better, do better. Finally, we have come to the end of the news around the world on the most listened to radio station at Gidigbo 88.7 FM Ibadan. I am Wuraola Yusuf. Thank you for listening. Good evening.
News is information, and information is power. At Agidigbo 88.7 FM, we bring the news from top to bottom.
The Oyo State Independent Electoral Commission, OISEC, has called for continuous collaboration